There we go.
All right. Well, hello. I am Sue Elliott, and I am here today with the amazing Linda Alepin, and honored to be able to ask her questions so you can get to know her better. Would you like to do a brief intro of yourself?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks very much, Sue. I'm Linda Alepin, and I've had a, great career in business, in the academic world, in the startup arena, in the leadership consulting part of the marketplace, and now retiring in Tucson, Arizona, but still alive with leadership. So I'm also a co-founder of an organization called You as a Global Leader, and was a co-founder of the Global Women's Leadership Network. But we'll hear more about that as I answer one of the questions.
Well, with that, let's get going. What's a story about how spiritual wisdom has touched and supported you in life and work?
So in 1996, I was the CEO of an early internet startup. And I'd had a pretty typical day, which most of them looked like roller coasters. And it had ended on a down note, and I was pretty upset. So I decided to stop on the way home. I had a husband and four kids at home, and I decided to stop and get clear. So I went in a park where I used to push the baby carriages, and I knew that there was a spot down under the tree limbs that there was a brook. And at that time of year, there was a sandbar in the middle of the brook. So I went and I stood on that sandbar and I tried to get quiet, and I could feel the wind and hear the rustling of the leaves and the gurgling of the brook. And suddenly, a picture of women from all over the world coming together in a rose garden to study leadership and be held together by the internet. So social media was not even two words yet that were put together. But that was it was literally a vision that I saw. And I consider that to have been a moment in which I was touched by source. And years later, when I was part of a guild retreat, by the way, Joe Jaworski said it was one of the best stories of being touched by source that he had heard. So that story led me over. It took me 8 years to get it started. I worked with that organization. Well, I'm still working with people who graduated from that organization. So it was literally one of those moments where, Source showed me the path to follow, and it just took a while for me to get on to the next steps.
That's beautiful. I love it. What wisdom and experience can you offer to the dialogue about conscious leadership? So much. How can you answer this question briefly?
Well, the first thing that I have to say, and I think this is true for many people who have joined the guild, is I started out, and to a certain extent, I'm still there, with wondering how can I contribute to this when there are so many, right, amazing people who are part of the guild and have multiple books and well known uh, across the world. So it's daunting, I guess. To begin with, it's kind of daunting to join the guild and to see what you have to contribute. But over time, what I've seen is that I have a special ability to relate some of the conscious principles to ordinary things, right? So we had a discussion the other day on one of the groups, and we were talking about these vibrations in the world about, especially in the United States, about civil disturbances. And at that point in time, we had just adopted a semi-feral cat who was hiding behind the toilet in the downstairs bathroom, and I was able to see, I could relate that story, okay, to that feeling that cat has in hiding, from not knowing what danger there really is out there. So that's kind of my special contribution when I'm in conversations with people, is to find ordinary things that portray the feelings that people are having, or the current issues that are going on.
Wow, I'm covered in goosebumps. That's beautiful. That's an amazing gift.
Mm.
What is your learning edge? What energizes you to discover and learn?
It's people. Okay, I just absolutely love learning from and about new people. So especially with deep relationships. You know, you and I talked about how I was jealous of a large organization at one point in time, and I realized that the depth of their relationship with the people who were going through their courses was not to die for, almost feelings of love, right? That I was getting by small groups of 15 to 20 per year. And, you know, so it's the people and their experience and the admiration that I have, right, for people and what they're doing in this world, despite the odds, despite the dangers, you know, despite all of the other things that are going on in their lives with families. The, people's courage and people's, you know, fortitude and resilience are just incredible.
Truly. Mm. What do you long for? What's your focus on the future or vision?
Well, I still have the same vision that I think I had standing in that stream in 1996, because at the core of that really is a longing for justice, right? And the women that I was seeing were only those people who were working to create justice at a very fundamental grassroots level, right? These are not big corporations. These are, you know, these are people working on a shoestring in local communities, you know, battling uh, FGM and hunger, and you know, you can name any of the kinds of things that they're out for. But it's all about, at its core, it's all about justice. And I still long to see. I know I won't be here to see, but um, you know, I long to see advances in justice. In the United States, we've seen, you know, Black Lives Matter come to the fore. We have seen, you know, women's rights in various forms, and we now have a women vice president. So I guess I could say, actually, you know, we were talking before about celebrations. Let's celebrate that we've made at least one step forward, okay, with a woman as vice president, and even, you know, a woman of color. So there are the times when we can see justice at work.
Absolutely. Beautiful. What kind of support are you inviting from guild members?
Well, I too would like to see more collaboration. That's why the committee I joined was originally called Collaboration, and we're now called Culture. But I really think that I would like to foster more collaboration. You know, and I'm inviting collaboration. If there's somebody, I'm currently writing a book, and I know I've been encouraged by several members to keep writing, despite what some publishers may say about 8 to 12,000 volumes in the first year, and how are we going to demonstrate that to them? But they've been so encouraging. You know, that's part of collaboration too, I think, is just support. So I welcome support and I welcome collaboration.
Yay. And what is your compelling purpose for being a member of the guild?
Well, it's to help forward that justice. I think it's two-edged. You know, first of all, it's to continue to learn. Okay, and there are some, as we said before, some extraordinary people that I believe I can learn from, and learn from the experience of the retreats and the meditations and those kinds of things. So I'm ready to continue learning, and I see that the guild could be a substantial force in terms of forwarding justice. Um, you know, and I think I represent a lot of the voices that are not sitting at the table, right? All those women from all over the world, and a few men, by the way, who came through the courses, um, eh, that they're not part of the Western world. And I think almost everyone in the guild is part of the Western world, born in the Western world. And I'm a little bit of a bridge, right? So, you know, I'm looking for the guild to be a force, you know,
I,
for the good in the world.
I think people have different understandings of the word justice. So would you take a second and share what you mean when you say justice?
Well, there are, you know, there are many different, it's like love. All right. There are, you know, there's so many different, to me, it's being given an equal chance. Okay. And not having laws or customs or culture or, you know, family where you're not allowed to, well, I'll go back to with one of the first women in one of the first classes. And after she spoke, she's from Uzbekistan. And actually, her best language closest to English was Polish. So she was actually going from Uzbek, I think that's the language, to Polish to English translation in this class. But finally, one moment, she lit up and she said, I see I have the right to a dream. Okay? That to me is justice. If everyone in the world knew they had the right to a dream and that all those other things that I mentioned, weren't going to get in the way and that they all could find joy and love and peace. That's what I mean by justice.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Linda.
Good. Thank you.